Attention! The content of this video could be challenging or trigger uncomfortable emotions in some viewers. If you find that to be the case, we encourage you to speak to a trusted adult, leader, coach, or mental health professional. Links to some services and resources are available on the Sentinel app that can be downloaded from either the Play Store for Androids or the App Store for iPhones. Thank you for taking part in this BSA Sentinel training designed to educate youth and adults about mental health, wellness, and preparedness. Through this course, we hope you gain a better understanding of mental health and well-being, learn how this can affect your daily lives, develop an individual plan for self-care, and discuss intervention plans and resources should you need help or have concern for someone else. Mental health refers to a person's emotional, social, and psychological wellness. It encompasses our thoughts, feelings, actions, and how we relate to others. Having an understanding of our mental health and the mental health of those around us is a vital component to our overall wellness. That's why the BSA has made the commitment to educating our youth and leaders about this topic.
The mission of the Boy Scouts of America is to prepare young people to lead successful lives by instilling in them the values found in the Scout Oath and the Scout Law. And I think having a proper, healthy understanding of mental health and wellness certainly plays a big role in that, and it's going to mean the difference between success and failure.
Just like our physical health, our mental health may experience peaks and valleys that need to be navigated along the way. It's important to have an awareness about how this affects our overall wellness every day.
Mental health affects everyone. Doesn't matter who you are, what your age is, what your status is. Mental health is just something that affects everyone from young to old.
Although mental health is something every person can struggle to maintain, children and teens are often the most vulnerable to experiencing the strong emotions that can lead to a rapid decline in mental wellness.
In the teenage years, we call adolescence, is a time where people are really figuring out who they are. They're working on their identity, how they fit in with other people. That opens up a lot of questions for teenagers. Questions about how am I supposed to act? Where do I fit in? Am I a valuable person? Do people like me?
There's a lot going on in that age range in the later elementary, early middle school, high school years. There's just a lot of pressures coming to them from a lot of different angles with peers, with school, with parents, with coaching. They also have a lot of developmental changes happening. Physically, their bodies are changing. Neurologically, their brains are changing. And so it's just a really big time of growth and development and a lot of things happening in their lives that staying connected with children and teens in those age ranges is just really important.
As children and teens develop, it can be difficult for them to process and understand the powerful emotions they can be experiencing, both good and bad.
Sometimes the emotions and things can feel really big, and so something might happen that would trigger you to feel upset, sad, scared, fearful, embarrassed, guilty, and those can feel like really, really big feelings, and it can lead us to have big responses. And sometimes those are really impulsive responses.
Big responses can include behaviors such as anger and aggression, insomnia, substance abuse, poor diet, and on the most extreme end, suicide.
You know, I've had some members of my own family that have struggled with mental health over the years, but I didn't realize how pervasive of a problem it was until recently, when I was sitting at the funeral of a young scout who had just taken his own life.
So Liam is our son, 15-year-old freshman at Davies. Great kid, high energy. He loved Camp Wilderness, loved everything about Boy Scouts, camping. And we left. We were gone for about an hour and came home, and someone met us at the door. She knew something was wrong and just didn't know what to do or how to deal with it. And Liam had died by suicide.
In the United States, suicide is the second leading cause of death for 10 to 34-year-olds. It's an epidemic that has historically been under-discussed and acknowledged because it can be so difficult to face. The first step in helping to reduce the number of people lost to suicide is to begin having open and honest conversations about the topic.
I think, breaking the stigma, it's a hard thing to do, especially talking about mental health. It's an uncomfortable topic. But the more we talk about it and the more we practice our language, the more we're going to be able to have an easier time bringing up these harder topics.
Suicidal behaviors are something that we really need to be attuned to. We need to talk to somebody about. We need to be able to have those open conversations with kids and teens and vice versa, them with adults, so that when those thoughts come, we have a plan and we know what to do.
As parents, we always have conversations. You talk about, don't do drugs, the importance of choosing the right friends, the birds and the bees conversation. We want to normalize the conversation around mental wellness and suicide prevention for parents as well, so it becomes part of the conversation.
Just have those conversations, have them early, have them often. Again, kind of curate them to the age group, but be direct, and vulnerability increases vulnerability and kind of breeds it to a degree. So the more that you can open yourself up, the more you're going to see that people are going to share their struggles too. And then that's how we can really end this epidemic.
Many adults and peers can be hesitant to begin the conversation about suicide because they fear they are not equipped to provide the correct information to properly help the person in need. But it's important to know that any talks you have are already a step in the right direction, regardless of your level of understanding on the subject.
It doesn't take expertise to show love to another person. It doesn't take expertise to show another person that you care about what happens to them. It doesn't take expertise to ask someone how they're doing. These are just very basic, fundamental things that people can do for each other. And if the other person does bring up things that you feel unqualified to talk about, then you can take the next step and help them go get professional help.
And you don't have to be the fix-it person. It's just a matter of learning those simple tools to be able to more so have the courage to have that conversation. And it takes practice.
These conversations are crucial to have with our youth so that we can develop a plan on how to handle strong emotions when they arise. Being equipped with knowledge and resources can make all the difference in a vulnerable moment. The majority of suicide attempts are impulsive actions, and having the tools to get through that brief stage can truly save lives.
Generally, when someone's going to commit suicide, it's a very short period of intense struggle. That if you can get them through that short period where they're really struggling, if you can get the individual through that, their chances of success, of survival, go up exponentially.
It can be difficult to put the brakes on and to reach out and talk to somebody, but that's what we really want to try and teach youth to do, is that just take a minute, reach out to a friend, reach out to a grown-up or somebody that you trust, or even just giving it a little bit of time. Like if you can wait it out 3 to 10 minutes, that can really slow down some of that impulsivity that's happening in your brain and triggering your body to take a behavior.
Mental health is often more difficult to see and understand than physical health within ourselves and those around us. But being proactive with our mental and emotional well-being is just as important to our overall wellness as taking care of our bodies.
We're told, go to the gym, eat healthy, stretch, take care of your joints for physical health. We're not yet at that point where people are comfortable talking about what do I do for my mental health. And I think that that's one of the big things that we're trying to do, is just change that discussion around mental health being something that we all possess. Liam, as an athlete, if one of his buddies hurt their leg and they're on the sidelines with a cast on or a boot, there's not going to be a stigma to that. They're hurt. You can physically see that. That's the challenge with mental health issues, is you can't physically see that there's a hurt there, and so you can't see if others are struggling.
When mental health falls into a lowered state, a person is more vulnerable to begin feeling depression and anxiety. Those are times that people are at increased risk for suicidal thoughts and actions. It's important to recognize some of the warning signs at this stage and intervene before any drastic and permanent behaviors take place. Some things to be on the lookout for include sudden loss of interest in hobbies and activities, increased substance use, isolating from family and friends, sleeping too much or too little, visiting or calling people to say goodbye, giving away prized possessions, and even speaking specifically about suicidal thoughts. Being vigilant about noticing these behaviors in ourselves and others can help prevent tragedy. Helping you stay on guard for these signs is the ultimate goal for the BSA Sentinel training. The idea of the Sentinel was taken from some of our friends in nature, geese.
If you ever look at a flock of geese, anytime you see a gaggle of geese anywhere on the ground, you'll notice there's one goose or two goose that are standing off from the rest of them or near the rest of them, but looking off in the opposite direction away from the gaggle of geese. And those are the geese they're the sentinels, and they're looking for danger. We want everyone to be a sentinel. Geese are very much very supportive of one another as a species, and they operate as a unit. And I just feel like it was a perfect mascot for what we're trying to encourage each other to be, is to watch out for one another.
It's important to know that the role of the Sentinel does not belong to adults and leaders alone. Peers and friends are often just as important in catching the warning signs at an early stage.
Peers can have a huge role in identifying or in seeking help for someone that they're concerned about, because kids will talk to other kids maybe a little bit more than they'll talk to adults sometimes, especially about difficult things.
Encourage them to talk to one another. Kids talk with kids, and that's great. How can we help encourage them to do that more about many different topics?
There's a lot of times, particularly young people, are not going to share that with a parent necessarily, but they'll share it with a friend, or you'll see it because you are their friend. And it's important for that friend to let a parent or somebody else know what's going on so that they can get the intervention they need. It is okay to speak up for other people when they can't speak for themselves, and it is okay to get them help, and you're not tattling. I'd much rather have my friend mad at me because I got them some help on the short range so that they're still around to be mad at me.
Being a sentinel is more than looking out for the signs of depression or suicide. It also involves being aware of and preventing the types of events youth experience that can lead to those states. Things such as harassment, hazing, or bullying.
The Boy Scouts call it being an upstander instead of a bystander. And I think, we want to have upstanders. We want to have people that are willing to intervene when they see something. Have the courage, have the moral and the managerial courage to step in and say, no, this is wrong, you need to stop. I believe that all Scouts in particular need to live by the Scout Oath and the Scout Law, and 4, 5, and 6, which is friendly, courteous, and kind, are very, very relevant.
Just like geese, it's important for children and teens to understand that we are all part of a flock. No matter the weight or stress that they are carrying, they are not carrying it alone. Knowing that there's a strong support group is one of the major factors in preventing a suicide attempt.
You have to know that you're not alone, and you have to know that it's not just you, it's not just your child. There are a lot of people also going through the same thing. And once you're aware of that, that should hopefully make you feel more supported and more able to talk about it and to get help for it.
And so we always advocate. We had a baseball game as part of our baseball tournament with the Red Hawks, and instead of putting above their number, their name, their last name, we put never alone. So everybody had the exact same thing. It said never alone on everybody's back, and that's just a reminder to say, hey, your teammate, your fellow Scout, your best friend, your parents, your older brother, whomever, there's always going to be somebody that you can reach out to in that moment of pain.
Never underestimate just having a good friend that you can call 24 hours a day. 7 days a week.
In addition to friends, family, and loved ones around us, there are many resources available if you have questions. Download the Sentinel app, and you'll have the training in the palm of your hand. In addition to immediate access to great resources and professional support, the Sentinel app provides a confidential, convenient place to record the names and phone numbers of 3 trusted friends or mentors that you can call anytime if you ever need them. Be informed about the suicide hotline number, 988. Share it with your troop, teams, and families so they know who they can call if they ever encounter those feelings. And for more information, reach out to the professionals in your local communities.
So don't be afraid to speak up. Don't be afraid to, be on the guard, be a sentinel. We all need to watch out for one another all the time.